Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with the next video in the Seldom Seen series, discussing the ninth configuration. The ninth configuration is a 1980 film, written and directed by William Peter Blatty, based on his novel Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane. This here is my New World Video Betamax release of the film. I always try to show something different when I can, because, after all, physical media matters. Jason and I specifically scheduled this video for March because it's fitting. This month we are watching and ranking Part 3s for Franchise Frenzy, and the ninth configuration is a Part 3 in a franchise. You might be thinking, in what franchise does the ninth configuration belong? But the writer-director might just give it away. This movie is actually the third entry in the EXORCIST franchise, based on release date. While it did come out after Exorcist II: The Heretic, William Peter Blatty himself does consider the ninth configuration to be a direct sequel to The Exorcist. But based on release date, it's a Part 3 in Franchise Frenzy. William Peter Blatty obviously wrote the original novel, The Exorcist. That was followed by Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane, which the ninth configuration adapts. And finally came Legion, which was adapted as The Exorcist III. Those three books were all part of the same trilogy, written by Blatty. That's why he considers the ninth configuration to be the direct sequel to The Exorcist, and the precursor to The Exorcist III. Now, before anyone says, well, I don't consider it to be an Exorcist sequel, let me ask you this. Who gets to decide? The writer of the actual novel and movie, or a random viewer? Yeah, I'll go with the writer-director of the film. Not to mention, it directly connects to The Exorcist. And if you watch the ninth configuration, you'll understand how. Whether you like it or not, the ninth configuration is Part 3 in the Exorcist franchise. And if you look at the different timelines, such as what the Halloween franchise has, for this one you'd have The Exorcist, followed by the ninth configuration, followed by The Exorcist 3. Or maybe even more appropriate, the Legion cut of that one. With all of that said, what we have here is another seldom seen sequel. It's a shame too, because I agree with the Cincinnati Post. The film is a masterpiece. Warner Brothers did release a Snapper Case edition on DVD, and it's also part of a Warner Brothers 4-pack, which I own. And then, of course, Scream Factory released it on Blu-ray as a limited edition, which sold out almost immediately. But, again, I thought it would be cool to show this Betamax tape. The ninth configuration has maybe one of the best casts you'll ever see in a movie. And I mean that. We have a young Scott Wilson, who many people will know as Herschel Green from The Walking Dead. He was nominated for a Golden Globe for this. Then there's Stacy Keach, Jason Miller from The Exorcist and Exorcist III. Joe Spinell has a role. The man himself, Tom Atkins, Robert Loggia, Richard Lynch, and others. The list goes on and on. The film is set in a psychiatric institution for Vietnam War veterans. There's a question about whether or not the inmates are truly insane, or if they're just faking their conditions to avoid combat. But one inmate in particular puts a kink in that theory. Captain Billy Cutshaw, played by Scott Wilson, is an astronaut who seemed to have lost his mind during a space mission. Hint, hint, he's the major connection to The Exorcist. Now, he not only questions, but denies the existence of God and the existence of good. His belief in evil, however, remains stronger than ever. An ex-Marine psychiatrist, Colonel Vincent Kane, is brought into the asylum to rehabilitate the inmates. He also attempts to prove the existence of God to Captain Cutshaw. The ninth configuration is amazing, and Jason and I watched it twice in 2 weeks. It's so engaging, and there is something so rewatchable about it. I could honestly pop it in again right now and enjoy every second of it. The performances are fantastic all around. I love the institution setting, which is actually a castle. While the film is set in New England, the movie was actually shot on location in Germany. The ninth configuration has such a unique tone that bleeds through the screen. As a viewer, you almost don't know what to make of it. It's like we're one with the inmates. It's disorienting, but I mean that in the best way possible. It's a fantastic film, a true work of brilliance. And this was William Peter Blatty's directorial debut. It's a mix of genres: horror, comedy, action, drama. It's all there. There are some truly chilling scenes, and one that haunts me ever since the first time I watched the ninth configuration. During it, Colonel Kane delivers the monologue that explains the title of the film. We get dogs performing Shakespearean plays, a killer who murders his victims by cutting their heads off with a wire, maybe the greatest bar massacre scene ever put on celluloid, and some epic twists that are downright brilliant. The ninth configuration is easily in my top 3, if not my top 2 favorite films in the Exorcist franchise. How much I love this movie, I'm sure will be reflected in my Part 3's ranking for Franchise Frenzy later this month. The ninth configuration is like The Exorcist meets One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, with a touch of Roadhouse and a dash of The Deer Hunter. And I stand by what I said before. I think it's a masterpiece. Please be sure to check out Jason's video to hear what he thinks about the ninth configuration. You may not have even known about it, but now you do. So hopefully you'll watch it too. Have you seen the ninth configuration, the third film in the Exorcist franchise? If so, what do you think of it? Comment below and let me know. Which seldom seen movie will we cover next in this series? Check back next week to find out. Until then, remember, physical media matters. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and, be kind, subscribe.